Hey, I'm doing this video from my car off the road. It's December 28th, 2012. I'm Alex Hansery coming to you from the San Luis Valley, and I'm about 1 or 2 miles from the yurt that I'm staying at. And the reason I'm up here is because I have to get up to this spot to even access any internet. And I bought this last week from AT&T in Alamosa, which is about 45 miles away. And I've been trying to get internet as of recently because, I will go back to Portland at some point, but I might need to wait until the winter's over. But I'm not going to let that stop me from doing Outside the Box radio on Saturday nights. So, for those of you that listen to the show, we had Bob Tuscan, who was booked last week, and I went over the neighbors, which is about 3 miles that way, and their internet was down. Ironically, it went down right before the show was about to start. Needless to say, that was a unpleasant feeling because there's a lot of information. There's a lot of guests. I have 3 guests booked for the next several weeks. I've got a guy coming on tomorrow to talk about the Archons, his book, his DVD rather, Archon Invasion. Then we've got Freeman the week after that, freemantv.com, and then the week after that we have Rosalind Peterson from californiaskywatch.com. And then after that we're going to have Joel Skousen, who is the author of a very important book for everyone to have that's very, that has a goal to live off the grid. It's called Strategic Relocation. And there's even other areas that I'm going to be exploring, and a lot of them have to do with some real true spiritual teachings about the world that we live in. So a lot of different information, truly outside the box, and I want to keep it going, even while I'm out here. So I know there's a lot of people on Facebook and elsewhere that have tried to contact me, and there's a lot of people out there that want to talk to me on the phone, and I'd like to talk to you too. I go days sometimes without seeing anybody or talking to anybody, but you all know why I'm here. I followed my intuition and the synchronicities that I've come across, and I felt led here after going to different places in Colorado and going to Wyoming and, of course, the year in Texas, and, of course, leaving Portland. And so I'm looking at this as also a test of my own patience, and perseverance. I spent a lot of time inside in the realm of ideas that are sometimes difficult to put into words. And my goal is to find the way to make sense out of some of the things that are difficult to discuss. But because there's so much true open-mindedness out there in this shift that we see in some people and in ourselves, which is important to focus on, how we're shifting and becoming more conscious instead of obsessing on where everyone else is at. It's their own adventure and journey they're on. So I'm kind of in this challenge to be patient and to, be in the moment. Yet there's still work that needs to be done. And I'm not going to be staying out here forever, but hopefully in the next week or 2 weeks, I'll be able to find something I can afford without a massive contract that I have to sign, if that's even possible anymore, to get internet that works in this specific region. There's a town I'm near, for some of you that might want to Google. A lot of people are giving me tips for things that only work in areas where there's towers. And there's people to even set up the service. So not everyone's advice is working, although I appreciate it. But AT&T, obviously, major internet conglomerate, does not work out here. Actually, it looks like I just lost my internet. I'm going to have to move my car. Actually, the other day when I moved my car, the muffler fell out of the back. So, I laugh at some of these challenges that I'm having because it's not like, everything's screwed up and I'm stuck out here. It's been an adventure. Sometimes neighbors come over and they ask me, do you need water? Do you need wood? Some neighbors aren't very social, but ultimately there is a subtle sense of community. Even for the most part, people stay in each other's space. One neighbor brought over some food on Christmas Day, for example, some turkey, mashed potatoes, some stuffing, and something else I wasn't able to identify. And it was really good, and the thought meant a lot. So even though I'm out here and I'm disconnected from some of you, I'm also experiencing, the subtle art of building relationships with people, friendships, and I'm living this role where, I have lived different lives within this life, but even in this life, in this moment, I'm living different lives. I'm different things to different people. To you, I'm the video guy. I'm this Alex Ansary on the internet. To them, I'm this guy that, you know, uh, came out of nowhere and is working to build trust with people that, for the most part, don't trust everyone that comes out here, because not everyone that comes out here has the best intent. So there's stigmas that even they have from people that come out here. Oh, they're coming out here because, they're going to engage in something criminal, or they're here to steal, because there are thefts here. People will break into empty buildings if they're not there, empty homes, and ransack the wood stove if they can carry it out. In fact, the yurt I'm staying in now was robbed before, and the other night, I heard some voices. There were people. I haven't said this yet. There were people outside of their car or their truck that were in the I could show you what it looks like out there. Prairie. That's what it looks like for miles and miles and miles. That and mountains. Let me connect my power here. I'm actually, when it's really cold, the batteries freeze, so I'm having a very difficult time even powering the laptop. I have something to say about that as well. I've also had to face my own, desires and dependencies to engage with technology, and that's been challenged. It's a time where, I have to be in my own space and write and read, and I can do that for a prolonged period of time, but I want to stay active. So again, I've had to deal with that acceptance and accept the reality around me for the time being, back to meeting different people and showing them there are people drawn to places like this. Sometimes subconsciously. That was the case for me. I did not know about the legends here, that this is where Indians went for their vision quests. Although, of course, they stay out of the winter. They stay out of the valley in the winter. They didn't camp here. So I feel like I'm going beyond. I'm going beyond what a lot of people do. And even though it seems painful and it seems lonely, it's refreshing. It's what's the word I'm looking for? There's a certain level of amusement that we have to keep on our lives. We're amused and entertained, and we can laugh at the situations we're in, the challenges, and be grateful for the blessings of synchronicity when we're in a jam, and something comes along to help push our car or ourselves to the next level. I mean, so many things I haven't even talked about in this journey. Back in Colorado, when I first got to Colorado, I parked in a Walmart parking lot to let the car cool down and get some water. And the heat hose, I believe that's what it's called, blew. And it blew ironically across from a farm store, where I was able to get help right away and get the exact same hose at a farm store for 98 cents. And there's so many stereotypes about the Midwest and racist and what, and how people are afraid. Some people are afraid to go out into these areas. A black man and a white woman came out and helped me repair the car. Again, defying stereotypes. She's a strong woman. Here's a black man. They're here in Colorado, and they seem like really happy, spiritual human beings. And I could kind of go into some other areas where I'm leading to with this. We have these perceptions of different places on the planet, and assume that they're going to be mostly white and mostly racist. And until you go out into the world and start seeing reality as it is, you really don't know. There's a lot of stereotypes people have about Portlanders. And now that they've seen this movie called Portlandia, which I haven't seen, but from what I've heard about it, it sounds like they've given hipsters a lot of attention, and Portland's a beautiful city, and has a very strong place in my heart. The history of the culture of Portland is what's most interesting to me. Now, there's a dark aspect to Portland's past, I've mentioned that, but there's also so much beauty in art and music, and very talented people, and writers, and filmmakers. The list goes on and on and on from Portland, Oregon. And so it's all in how you look at things. And again, the synchronicities, as I come into Colorado, I get the help from those two very nice people. I tried to offer him $20. The guy wouldn't take it. But I mean, things like that never happen in Oregon. It doesn't mean that positive things didn't happen in Oregon, I also haven't talked about all the beautiful things that I have experienced in the past when I focused so much on the negative and things that bothered me. I have met a lot of very beautiful souls in Portland, Oregon, and I think a lot of them have been called there, a lot of the transplants, to be in a city like that for the coming changes. It'll be a very unique place. And the next synchronicity story in terms of Colorado was having my tire blow because the tread was low as I was leaving Colorado Springs. Now, that's not a positive story. It was what came out of that. What came out of that was a police officer who was very nice. He didn't come and ask me for my papers, called AAA for me. And not just sit there and, give me orders, stand over here, do this. He was a good Samaritan. I remember even asking him if he knew about the Russians training in Colorado and what he thought about that. He didn't like that. But I'm having this experience where it's not Alex Hansky, the TV show host. It's just me, a human being, which I am, just who happens to put out content in alternative media. And a lot of people, don't know how to take in some of that information. So again, I'm thrown into situations where I'm just Alex, the guy who's the outsider, who will let you look into my eyes and see that there is good there and there is no harm there, and I will not hurt your children or your dogs, or I'm not going to run over your dogs, or I'm not, super brilliant. I make mistakes. I forget to have a spare tire in my car at times, but I don't go out and hurt people deliberately or mislead people or lie to people. And sometimes it'd be easy if, I just had a resume here and they could see everything about me. Although this guy's been doing some good work. I don't have that in my arsenal at this time. The perfect DVD to show all the best. It's just me, Alex. And being someone that will give them alternative information if they're open to it, but developing this restraint to just not go there if they're not able to go there. Where they are is a very important place, though, that I can learn from instead of them learning from me. But in the best case scenario, of course, is people learning from each other. But what I can learn from others, and what I'll likely be doing tomorrow, is learning about building and more things about off-the-grid, things I never learned in Portland, Oregon. Not that people weren't doing them in Portland, Oregon, but it's a different place. And this is a different place, which requires one to be even more prepared for the winter. And you're talking about areas out here where there is no grid. People aren't, everybody is on solar here, just about everybody. There's actually a few people I met that aren't even on that. They're completely living without electricity and power. So here I am in this situation. I'm going to, in the video here, and compress this and upload it and head back home. I'm in a situation, folks, that hopefully will be temporary in terms of my limited ability to communicate with you on a regular basis. But I have a desire to start doing Outside the Box TV already, as in before I come back to Portland, Oregon. And if I get stable internet, or if someone's listening that wants to help some way, either financially or helping to do research on what resources are in the area, or whatever other ways you can help, all of that is appreciated. Because like I said, I've got 3 guests lined up and a couple more that I will line up once the connection is stable. And in the meantime, I'm also living the other life that no one's seen, that's not going, on YouTube. And it's liberating. Despite all the challenges, there's been synchronicities, and ultimately, one of my goals is to go deeper inside, and to have a more direct connection with source creation, and to truly see through the lies that are around us, and to identify some of these groups that are oppressing humanity. But most of all, how do we come out as victors in this game of spiritual warfare? With the power of our minds, a mind that is focused, that can, if you will, blast through the clouds and bring in the bright sun that may shine only for us at that moment that we're directing our intent. But that's all that's needed. That's all that's needed, is for us to expand our own consciousness and bring in that bright sun and burst through the dark clouds of this matrix. And I firmly believe that we're here on earth to learn how to cultivate those talents, those gifts, those abilities. All right, I'm out of time. My 15 minutes is up. Thank you all for watching. I'm Alex Answer, reminding you the path to the ultimate truth still lies in one place, within.